I can't read that. Well, alive? I don't know how to hold this thing. Wait for a couple people to trickle in. Yeah, I feel like small town. You have to let me know if you can hear me. I can't read. Hold on. What'd that say? Hello, Texas. How you doing? Yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this really weird clown world we find ourselves in, and um, I've talked about in the past how I always thought that the Great Awakening was highly overrated and exaggerated, but it's way more than that because it's not just a dumbing down. You hear that a lot. People say, "Oh, the public's been dumbed down." You know, there's something to this whole NPC thing. I know that like a year, maybe 2 years ago, this NPC thing kind of started getting traction, and it was funny. It made a lot of memes and stuff. Everybody laughed. But I think there's more truth to this NPC thing than meets the eye. It's not just like a way to call people stupid or um, because when you have an event that is so full of holes as this one, where the person who's the medical expert, this little turd called what is it, Fauci, publicly states that not only does the corona have a mortality rate of 0.01%, and nobody blinks an eye. Like, oh, you have a better chance of getting hit by like a, I don't know, dying from basically anything else there is. 0.01%. And then he publicly states that masks are not effective and do no good. And like everybody's wearing masks, but it's like they don't see it. And this is so. I was watching Quantum of Conscience. It's one of my favorite channels. I've been a subscriber to him since he was Texas Shrugged years ago, and I just love the way he picks things apart. And he was doing a reality breakdown on this and 9/11 and stuff with a friend of his that he went to college with, and he was like a best man in his wedding. They were like really good friends, but this guy just cannot see it. And he was talking about how, as I've always said, you can't wake. There's certain people you cannot wake up. You're just spinning your wheels. You might as well just sit in there and just smash your head against the wall. And he went through this email thread that him and his buddy went on, and it was quite startling to see the level of lack of discernment that his friend had, because his friend's like really smart. He's, you know, highly educated, but he can't see stuff that is like literally right in front of your face, like the fact that this nonsense has a 0.01% mortality rate and people are freaking out. And he had like, I think he got down to like 4 reasons that he thought that there's this section of the population who just cannot, it doesn't matter what you show them, they don't see it. It doesn't matter how basic in your face, they'll have an excuse. But I think it goes deeper than that. I think there's people whose reality They literally see, almost had an accident. They literally see their reality around them differently. Like, for example, if you looked up in the sky and you saw like a big X, these chemtrails, like really big fat X, going like horizon to horizon, and you point that out to somebody, I truly believe there's people that would look up in the sky and they just see a blue sky. Like they literally would not see anything up there, or if they did, they just see these little contrails that were sort of evaporating. And then you've got another level of people that would look at those and go, "Oh, it's always been that way." You know, they could be 70 years old and go, "Yeah, when I was a kid, that was always like that." There's a difference in the reality that they see. And Matt from Quantum of Conscious he had 4 thoughts as to how this is happening. And the one he went with was the NPCs are getting a download. He likened it to like a Wi-Fi, because he's seen this in person. Because this is kind of tied into the Mandela effect. Because he would go to a friend and he'd give him like 5 Mandela effects or changes in our reality that we see that some people don't. And so he would ask them 5 questions, like, you know, what does the witch in Snow White say when she's looking in the mirror? I don't know, just multiple. He had like 5 or 6 of them. And they answered everyone the way the Mandela affected people remember them. And then when he showed him that it's not mirror, it's a magic mirror, he said he literally saw the person like look up, like they received, and they kind of blinked, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, that's right," and he changed all his answers. And he said he literally watched this person get a download to the current reality. Like he still had one foot in the old reality, and then when he was questioned, he answered the old reality answers, and then when he was shown the changes, he literally like got a visible, he said it looked like a download, and changed all his answers to the current. That's where Matt's leaning, that there's literally there's something that is controlling certain people that can actually update them. And that got me to thinking about, well, there's also another channel, it's called Vanessa VA, and she put a video up 2 or 3 days ago, and it was sort of about targeted individuals, but it kind of crossed over into this difference between, people call them sheeple or NPCs, but Matt had a different theory that he had, like I said, he had like 4, and the last one I think is the one that actually resonates with me. And the way he described it is there was like at some point there was like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers event that took place. And so that got me to thinking of like December 21st, 2012, the whole Mayan calendar thing, and the Great Awakening and the shift of consciousness and everything. And it was this big build-up. I think they even had a movie called 2012. And then it kind of came and went, and everybody was like, "Oh, nothing happened." Well, I think something did happen. And I also think that that's about the time that the first kind of rumblings about Mandela effect, about something's different, things have changed. And you had people that were going like off the nonsense scale saying, "Oh yeah, I was from the Orion arm of the Milky Way, and these people from the Sagittarius arm." Well, that's complete nonsense. But I think there was some sort of shift. Something happened. Some people are saying that there was a catastrophe and everybody died, and now we're like avatars, or now we're in a simulation. I think a lot of this stuff was going on to a much lesser extent before, whenever the change happened. But something happened, and the Vanessa VA channel, they were talking about these people who were soulless. There's a percentage of the population who don't have souls anymore. They're like avatars. Like they can be funny, they can watch sports, they can hold a conversation, but they have like limits. they'll talk about anything. Like they can tell you about the Kardashians, they can tell you the narrative. But if you question it and say, well, have you ever noticed, they can't see it. Like that's when, they'll get angry. Almost, they just go from, they don't, like Matt was saying with his friend when he would say, look, we're to believe that a guy who trained a couple times in a Cessna, got behind the cockpit of a 757, flew past the Pentagon, did a 270-degree banking turn while decreasing 3,000 feet in altitude, came in 10 feet above the ground, which I guess below a certain altitude at a certain speed, the ground will actually suck you down. So if that actually happened, the plane would have just like disintegrated and hit the ground before it got near the Pentagon. But anyway, it goes through the whole, and it's part of the 9/11 Commission's report. Like they say this is what happened. And you've got all these pilots who are saying it's impossible. I've been flying for 35 years. I couldn't do that. It's like it breaks all the laws of physics. And he said when he shows this to his friend, a normal person would react going, huh, well, I'm still not totally on board with your theory, but those are some interesting points you make. And you know what? I'm going to look into it and see kind of what I find. Instead, it's like the script downloads and he says, it's all been debunked. You can look at Snopes, Popular Mechanic, some other, just these shill government-made websites. And he just repeats this narrative, the script, saying, oh, it's all been debunked. There's, dozens and dozens of eyewitnesses saw it happen. And he's like, there's like 30 or something like 1,000 cameras on the Pentagon. It's like the most secure building in the world. And there's no photo, like no video of a plane coming in. Parking lot, like ticket taker camera that just basically shows. This is where it gets interesting. Because I think we've probably all seen that photo where there's just like this nothing, and then all of a sudden there's like a fireball, and then the building's on fire. This guy literally said, the photos have been released, we've all seen them, you can clearly see the tail section of the plane. And Matt's like, what? And that's when he was getting into the, I think these people actually can see something that we don't even see. Like you can show them the same photo and you see just nothing and a fireball, and they see the tail end of a plane. And so I was thinking about the 2012 I don't know when it occurred, but December 21st, 2012, it sounds good. Let's go with that. But something happened, and that Vanessa VA channel was talking about how, and I don't know how, it's impossible to get stats like this, but they were saying that I don't know who they are, whoever studies this stuff, that 50% of the population is these NPC soulless characters, and there's other people that say no, it's more like 84%, and there's 16% in this realm that we live in. There's like 16% of us who have a soul and discernment, a connection with God, and that when you look around at the people wearing the masks and stuff, that 86% or 84% seems more logical. But again, there's no way of getting those numbers, I guess. I don't know how they came up with it, but it does kind of ring true. But that some sort of an event happened where 50 to 40% of the people were basically like that movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where they were, I don't know if their souls were like vacuumed out of them or if something entered them and took control, but they're literally non-player characters now, to where they can function, they can drive a car, they go to work. But then I got to thinking, it's like, think to how many people that you grew up with, like kids from grade school, high school, family members, cousins, maybe your own parents, maybe your siblings, that ostracized by them. They might think you're just this crazy conspiracy kook because you're always talking about, first it was 9/11, then it was this, and then it was that, and they finally just disowned you. It's like he thinks everything's like, there's some cabal, and they don't get the fact that that's actually true. That there are very few conspiracy theories from the past up to present that didn't turn out to be true. But they don't look at your track record like, I thought he was crazy, but he's like 10 for 10. Because they can't see, even when it's proven that something was a conspiracy or a hoax, they can't see it, so you're never going to get credit for that. But I'm wondering, like, how many people in your life from when you were a kid till today have you just separated from? Like, there's just nothing you have in common anymore. Like, they'll just say, you see, say, a group of people you've known for a long time, and you sit down and you're like, hey, guys, and they just start talking about sports. And all of them are just sports, and you're just like, or politics, or just some nonsense. And you're just like, I don't belong here. Like, I don't. And if you bring up anything outside of the narrative, it's like he's just like pulled your pants down in the rest. And I don't hang out with any of them. I don't, not even one. I have no connection to any of them. And it's because there's nothing we have in common. And not just on a like, oh, you believe Sandy Hook was real? Really? It's not even on that level. It's like there is nothing I have in common with these people. Like nothing. And nothing they talk about, I couldn't give two shits. Like they talk about this stuff that is so surface level, throwaway nonsense. And if you bring up something that could actually have an impact on their lives, they'll either go with the narrative and quote CNN or Snopes, or they'll just go, they'll almost like attack you like you're nuts. And the weirdest part is when you see what's really going on and they think you're nuts, they're nuts, and it's just this, like, it's just pointless. So like, I have zero relationship with anybody I've known my entire life, not one person, not even like my brother. He's part of the Matrix. He's never said, you know what? I was looking into such and such, and something doesn't seem right. No. In his world, it's like, what's the news say? Okay, that's it. But, hello, Rena. I'm just ranting. Because I have to go into Walmart, and of course, it's the masks are mandatory thing here. And it's not even getting past the door guy, because you just tell me you have a medical waiver or whatever. And I haven't had a problem yet. I've gone into several convenience stores and stuff. And they're like, excuse me, sir. And you don't even get 2 feet in the door, and they're on you. And I just say I have an exception, a waiver, medical condition. And they just go like, oh. And they just keep walking. They don't say anything. It's the other people in the store. Getting past the door guys, that's nothing. But then you go down the aisles, and everybody has a mask on because it's a regulation, I guess, a mandate, a suggestion, a hard suggestion. I don't know what they call it. It's not a law, but it's just a shit looks, which I don't care. I can look down and just shop. I know where the stuff's at that I need. But, and even the comments, it's not like half of them you can't hear what they say anyway because they got this shit over their face and it's just this mumble. But it's just the, you can feel it, like this just heaviness. Everybody's just, I mean, if you think back, like, go back like, what? How long is this shit been going on? I don't know. Let's say February? Go back to February. If you'd have walked into Walmart with a face mask covering like this, they would have told you immediately to take it off. And if you just like ignored them and walked in, they'd probably call the police. Because it used to be the sign that you were there to rob them. And now it's like, if you come in like this, and it was, how quickly, you think that this would be something you'd really have to like churn away at people. And I mean, it's been a while now, but when you think about it, people started slapping their masks on pretty quick, like a month into this thing, and then it just progressively got more and more. But there was really no pushback. There wasn't like a gradual slow. It was like, and then masks, everybody, and it was like normal. And you see people wearing the stupidest shit. And I've seen people who are like clearly, they're obese, they're clearly in horrible shape physically, and they've got this thing on their face. It's like half cocked. It's all wet around their mouth, and they're always touching it and pushing it and yanking on it. And you go to a place and you order something, and they've got this plexiglass up, and they got rubber gloves and a mask. But the person that's making your like latte or whatever keeps fucking adjusting their mask and touching it, and it's like, if you just took the fucking gloves and mask off and made me a latte, you'd have a lot less of your shit all over it. But and nobody sees it, and that's kind of the whole point of this, about how, you point a chemtrail out to somebody and they look up and they're like, what are you talking about? It's a contrail, or I don't see anything, it's just clouds. Nobody sees this with the mask. It's like, people, I've asked people that are like behind the counter, 'cause I don't wear one. I just walk in. And they have a problem with it. I just basically, do the disability or the medical waiver. I haven't had a problem with it yet, but how do they not? I've asked a few of them. I'm like, do you have trouble breathing in that thing? After I kind of like walk in and, hey, how you doing? I was like, is that thing hard to breathe in? Because clearly I'm not wearing one, so my breathing's great. And every one of them, yeah, this thing's awful. It's horrible, But hold on, look at this. Let's see, how do I do this? Everybody, the mask. She's rocking her mask. Everybody. It's insanity. And if there wasn't this 84%, even if it was 50-50, you'd see a lot of people going, fuck that. And everybody, the compliancy is just mind-boggling. And, I've racked my brain on how to get people, because you're thinking like you can't do that. You can't think like someone who's, rational, plugged in, see shit for what it is. These NPCs, and I don't know, that's as good a word as they're soulless vessels. They just get the download, and this is the new normal, and they're all right with that. I can't breathe, but that's a small price to pay so I don't get the sniffles, and they're okay with that. And so I was thinking, there's something different about the people who don't take to the download and see nonsense for what it is. And I think people are trying to get they're trying to make it too complicated, sort of like the people, like, I don't know exactly what happened on, let's just say, December 21st, 2012. And I don't know if that's the date, but something happened. Because even back, you go back to like the 80s, 90s, each of us knew a few really stupid people, but they were stupid in like, I wouldn't trust him to like, drive my car. I wouldn't give him the keys. He's just an idiot. But it wasn't like, this person has no grasp on reality. There was a point where there was a shift, and it happened quick. And where was I going with that? Oh, so like, let's just go with the 86 or 84%, 16% number. What was it about the 16% where we didn't take whatever happened? Somehow we bypassed it, and the current updates that are always coming in, for whatever reason, we're not getting those downloads. Like, they just bounce right off us. And the only thing I can come up with is the full armor of God, and accepting Christ as your Savior is like, but I know there are some people who are wide awake. They have YouTube channels, and they admit flat out, I'm not a follower of Christ. I'm an atheist, or I'm Christian friendly, but I'm not, I've never repented. I think God is using those people because they're just really good, even though they're not saved. They're really good at getting or articulating a point. They have an audience, and so the things they say resonate with people. Like Matt from Quantum of Conscience. I don't know. I would say he's not a Christian. He knows a lot about it, but I don't think he's ever bent a knee and and bowed his head to the Lord, but he's really, really smart. He has a good sized audience, and he's very, very good where he's coming from. So I think, which is really scary, because then you think, okay, there's 16%, but maybe only 9 or 10% are truly, the elect, and the rest of that small percentage is just, they can see, and they don't take the downloads because they're a good tool to get the message out. So that means that, the total number of real, washed in the blood of Christ servants of the Messiah, we might be talking 7, 8, 9% of the population, which is truly frightening when you think of those numbers. We're vastly outnumbered, but we know how this ends because we read the book to the end, and it ends in our favor, but it's not going to be pretty from here on out. And I see no way that this is not part of the end times. I don't think it's necessarily the Great Tribulation yet. Once we see the son of perdition, the Antichrist, I think there's got to be a really big war to start things off, because the Bible says there's going to be a hell of war, and then the son of perdition is going to basically be the peacemaker, and everybody's going to think he's amazing. So we're not quite there yet, but I mean, come on, we're about as close as it gets. I mean, it could be any moment now. So I don't know. I didn't really see a single comment anybody made, because I was just kind of freestyling. But I don't know. I don't really want to go in here, and just because, like I said, it's not getting in. It's dealing with all the NPCs, because, like I said, we're vastly outnumbered. I mean, I'm going to be the 1% if I go in there. There will be nobody else in that store not wearing a mask but me. So it's just the mood, vibe, the heaviness, because it's like, it's not like he can see, he's the enemy, he sees the truth. It's more like these people truly believe that they've got masks on. It's all sort of like the vax thing. Like, they've all got their shots, but you don't, but somehow you're going to hurt them. It doesn't make sense, because they've got their masks and their gloves on. It doesn't matter if I walked in there without a mask, because according to their minds, they're protected, but they see you, like, part of the download was to vilify and see you as the enemy. Not just that poor sap, he's probably going to get corona, and what a dumbass. I'm good. I'm sitting here breathing my own stink. It's not, which is what, common sense tells you. You would think, like, poor soul. Well, it's his choice. Instead, they look at you like he's going to kill somebody. And you're like, what? Everybody's wearing a mask. How can I kill you if your mask is legit? I mean, they've been told that, like, because you're not wearing a mask, you're going to kill, like, somebody's grandma. Because apparently we all make a lot of visits to nursing homes. I don't know. None of it makes sense. I'm trying to see oh, good Lord. I can't go. Anyway. All right. Well, I don't know. I think I just had a glitch there. So I'm going to go. If you have questions or something, put them in the comments. I was just, like I said, like kind of freestyling. So, all right, everybody. Take care. God bless. And see you soon.